what's up you guys, this is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Quick Draw, we leave them nice and confused when we take a look at the Rakta Dark Dagger. Now, to be completely honest with you, this one has definitely boggled my mind. The boost to its stats do put it in a fairly good place when it comes to the dagger category, however its combination of passive abilities are counterintuitive to say the least. One of them encourages insta-kill stealth play, while the other wants you to jump in headfirst and apply as much status as possible. So regardless of how you approach it, the Rakta Dark Dagger is leaving everyone confused. Now, you can pick up the Rakta Dark Dagger for 125,000 standing after you've reached rank 5 with Red Veil. Just keep in mind that it will require Mastery rank 8 for its acquisition. However, if you're not fond of terrorist organizations who just want to burn everything to the ground, feel free to venture over to our other terrorist organization, also known as Trade Chat. Now, the Rakta Dark Dagger's primary damage type is Radiation, which deals bonus damage to alloy armor and robotic enemies. However, do keep in mind that it suffers resistances against standard corpus shielding, as well as the infested and fossilized infested. One interesting thing to note about weapons with elemental combos as their innate damage type is the fact that in order to strengthen that combo, you'll actually need to add in both of its base elements. Otherwise, they'll just retain their individual element. This mechanic allows you to stack elemental combos that you wouldn't normally be able to have on the same weapon. In this case, it works with elements like Corrosive and Blast. So with all of these options at hand, be sure you're using the appropriate elemental combo in order to deal the optimal amount of damage. Now, the original Dark Dagger wasn't really known for too much. Beyond being a candidate for covert lethality, its only other real claim to fame was being able to use Red Veil's Gleaming Blight augment. And honestly, that didn't even make it all too popular. The Rakta Dark Dagger, on the other hand, received a boost to its base damage jumping from 35 up to 50, and tying it with the Keras for the highest base weapon damage in its category. In addition, its attack speed jumped from 0.917 up to 1.0, also tying it for first place in attack speed. And that's pretty much it. No other changes to its supplemental stats whatsoever, which honestly it did kind of need since its crit chance only sits at 5% and its status at 10%. Now, as for its syndicate passives, the Rakta Dark Dagger reduces your detection range from 15 meters down to 10 meters and allows you to restore your shields or grant you overshields for 5% of the damage you do to any enemy afflicted with a radiation proc. So I'm not sure if you're picking up on the whole issue here, but let's break it down. The first passive synergizes fantastically with covert lethality, giving you a bit more leeway to sneak in for the kill. However, a dead enemy means that you have no one to proc radiation on, which means that you have no one to hit in order to grant you the second half of its passive. Vice versa, proccing radiation on an enemy requires you to interact with them in some way. Whether it's casting an ability or proccing radiation yourself, you've already alerted that fucker, and in most cases, anyone with an ear and eye shot of them, which basically renders the first half of the passive useless. And no, we are not done yet. Taking a look at the stats versus shield restore, not only does this have a fairly low status chance, it's also got pretty low base damage. You're either going to have to sacrifice outright damage in order to mod for status chance, which lowers the amount of shielding you get, or vice versa, and risk not having enough status to proc radiation in the first place. So basically, from both its passives down to its statistics, this thing just doesn't jive. Now, speaking of things that just don't line up, can we talk? Okay, so I think that I have figured out the reason that this one triggers me so much. The fact is, unlike the Sancti Magistar and the Tellus Boltus, whose mechanics synergize and tailor their strength to a specific type of play, the Rakta Dark Dagger just doesn't know what it wants to be. Is it a battle dagger that fortifies you with extra shielding, or is it a stealth weapon that helps you go unnoticed while you go in for a single fatal blow? It's like people who date casually. I just don't get it. See, me personally, if I'm gonna invest my time with someone, it's because I am trying to figure out whether we are just banging tonight, or we are banging for the rest of our lives. I know what I want. None of this, oh, I'm not out of the closet, but I still want to see you bullshit. Or this, I just got out of a long-term relationship bullshit. Or, I don't know if I want something serious bullshit. Well, maybe you shouldn't be dating then, should you? And don't use casual dating as a pretense for sex. If you want sex, just let me know that's what you want. That way I can just clean my apartment, smash out a couple rounds, then send you home so I can figure out what I want to order in for dinner and what Netflix series I'm watching next. Because I know what I want, and it's not to sit here trying to figure out the merit of using Gleaming Blight if I already have Weeping Wounds equipped. I got dishes and dicks that need to be done. I don't have time for all of that halfway bullshit. And now that I've got that out of my system, let's get back to the quick draw. So all in all, the Rakta Dark Dagger, with as much criticism as I've aimed at it, is alright. for a dagger, which honestly isn't saying much. Yes, they do serve their purpose as carriers for covert lethality's one-hit kill, but for actual combat they pale in comparison to many of the other melee categories, which may be one of the reasons it can still use Red Veil's Gleaming Blight mod so that it can soften up enemies that you're still most likely gonna have to hack away at repeatedly. Regardless, it does come with innate V-polarity, which should help you fit in your covert lethality or prime pressure point. So at least that's one definite check in the positivity box, because let's face it, being the best of the worst still kind of means that you're the best of something, right? So thank you all for watching another episode of The Quick Draw. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to check out my previous episode on the Cyanoid Helio Core, as well as the Vacor side on. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, remember that it is just as important to know why you're banging as it is who you're banging, especially here at A Gay Guy Plays. Okay, so after not being addressed in the last two patches, I'm gonna assume that this wasn't meant to be triggered by irradiating disarm, which just proves my theory true. It's not just standard radiation. It's Loki's super secret extra potent gadiation.